Hi guys, GhostlyLoz here with another Shadowverse deck walkthrough. Now in this video I wanted to go over another powerful deck that I've been using to climb the ranked with. And this is called the Storm Haven deck. Now just from looking at the curve you can probably think, wow, this is a heavily aggressive deck. I mean, it has a peak around turn 2 and pretty much no late game, so from looking at this you can go, wow, this is a horrendously aggressive deck. While that's true, it's actually more of an aggro mid-range deck. This is a bit deceptive. A lot of the cards in this range are actually amulets, which don't pop for another 2 to 3 turns, so this is actually the power zone for this deck, turn 4 and 5. That's when this deck will really come to life, when you'll make all the big plays and when you'll win the game. It is an aggro deck, but it's kind of different to other aggro decks, which makes it interesting. You will still usually win on turn 5 and 6. It's very unlikely games will last longer than turn 7 when you're playing as this deck. You'd have to get a very poor start for that to happen. So let's jump right into the deck. So as I said, it's a very powerful deck. It's a very aggressive deck. You'll come to realise why it's called Storm, because it takes huge advantage of the Storm minions in this game. So let's look at some of the key cards in this deck. So the key cards are this summons a Holy Falcon in 2 turns, which is a 2/1 Storm minion. So you play this on turn 3, you get a Storm minion. Let's look at another key card, Beastcaller Aria. So this is a very key card. So this is a very powerful card. So it's only 2 mana. It takes 3 turns, so you won't get it until turn 5. But it's extremely powerful. So it summons a Holy Falcon, like the other card, but it also summons a Holy Flame Tiger, which is a 4/4 minion. So you get tremendous amounts of value, and this is what allows you to explode the board around turn 5. Very, very key card in the deck. Another key card, Divine Birdsong. It's another Storm, so this pops on turn 5 again. So you play it on turn 3, it pops at the same time as Beastcaller Aria, and it summons another Storm minion, a Regal Falcon. So let's say you play this on turn 1. So on turn 3 you have a Holy Falcon. Let's say you play this on turn 2. So you're doing nothing until turn 3 when you've actually got a bit of presence on the board. Let's say you play this on turn 3. So, and then, I don't know, you play something else on turn 4, like you play Priest of the Cudgel, which is very strong at moving their board. You can banish an enemy and then you can attack with it, so it's a very powerful card. Or you play a series of menus, you play this with an evolved creature. You do any, turn 4 is kind of a free turn for you to do stuff, and then turn 5 you suddenly have whatever you had left over from turn 4 if you've got anything. You have a Holy Falcon, a Holy Flame Tiger, a Regal Falcon, and then whatever you've got left over. So you've already got a pretty powerful board on turn 5, and that's really where this deck takes off. The card that really makes this deck work is Erd. This is a key card for the deck. You can't play this deck without 3 Erds really, or with 2 or 3 Erds at the very least. This card destroys a follower and then returns it to play. So from initially looking at this card, you might think, well, what's the point in that? Why would I want to destroy a card and return it to play? A follower. Why would that be? And I mean, I could do it on an enemy, but it'll just bring them back to health. I could do it on my own cards, it'll bring them up to health. But what's the point? The key is that using it with Storm minions. So let's say I have a Regal Falcon on the board. I attack with it, do 3 damage. I play Erd on this card, destroy it. It comes into play and it has Storm again, so it can attack again. I can even evolve it. So just from, I can turn this card from 3 damage into 8 damage by evolving it, or 6 damage if I don't have any evolve points left. If you can play another Erd, do it again. Very, very, very powerful card, and that's one of the key cards of this deck that makes this deck function properly. So that's why this is so powerful, can put out so much damage in a short space of time. Another key card in this deck is the Garuda. So I mean, this deck is sometimes called Storm Garuda or Garuda Havencraft, or because Garuda is another key card in this deck. So it subtracts 3 from the countdown on an allied amulet. So you can play this on this to get more damage out. You can play it on this to boost the board up more. You can even just play it on this card to grant you more cards. You can play it on this card to get another Storm minion out. So this is kind of your finisher card. This will finish the game off, and it also deals 3 damage to the enemy leader. So this is kind of your finisher card. If they're just hanging on, play this card to win pretty much in the turn 6 and 7. This basically finishes them off. One thing to note is that it will deal 3 damage to the enemy leader no matter what, even if there's no amulets on the board. So you can play this on an empty board, and it's a 4/4 deal 3 damage to the enemy leader, which is very powerful. You also have this legendary, very, very powerful legendary. At the end of your turn, fully restore this follower's defense. So this can be used in 2 ways. You can either charge it in if you evolve it to do 5 damage to finish them off, or 3 damage to finish them off. Or you can use it to remove one of their troublesome minions that's got less than 7 attacks, so maybe a 6 attack taunt, something like that. And then it'll fill its health back up to full again. So it's very, very good at removal, this card, but it's also useful for finishing them off in the face. And then again you have standard like aggro removal, so this destroys an enemy and deals 2 damage to their face, which is useful. Priest of the Kujal I've been over, good at removing. Prison Priestess, good at hunting for amulets. So say you're short on amulets, you're looking for like a Divine Birdsong to finish the game off. This is good because it'll hunt for those amulet cards out of your deck. Angelic Barrage, pretty standard card in most decks now. Tech against Forestcraft decks, tech against aggro, any aggro like aggro Swordcraft decks or aggro Vampire decks. Very powerful tech card, and also hits the face as well, so it's good for getting in the last bit of damage. Hallowed Dogma, subtract 2 from a countdown and draw a card. So this is for boosting yourself up or for getting things to time up correctly. Also draws a card. Useful card, can't really play this deck without it. Heavenly Hound, this is good for against aggro decks. If you have an evolved ally on the board, which you most likely will, it basically becomes a 2/4 with ward, so it's good for blocking against aggro. It's also good for protecting your other charge minions, so good card. These are very strong against control decks that use a lot of removal. It's also strong just to play on turn 2. It's very good to keep to play on turn 2, just have a strong presence on the board that they can only really remove with by trading into it. So it's a very strong early game card. So this is good just to keep your hand fill it, so you may run out of steam. If you're playing out your hand really early, you may run out of steam, so this stops that happening as much. And this is a Storm minion. One card that is probably the weak link in this deck, I mean, all of the decks that I'm going to be going over this video are net decked from GameAI.jp. So they've been crafted by top players that play on the scene in Japan. So I don't really question the choices that they put into these decks, but I mean this card is by far the weak link of the deck. I mean all it does is summon a Holy Flame Tiger. I mean it's a powerful card in itself. It doesn't really fit with the synergy of the deck. It doesn't have anything to do with rushing them down or storming them, so I mean this is probably the weak link. So an improvement of this deck. I mean I'm probably not experienced enough to comment on altering these decks. That's why I tend to net deck everything in the first instance when I'm playing a game. But I mean this looks like a pretty weak link to me, so I'd probably replace it with another Moon, or I don't know, maybe a bit more card draw or something like that. or I don't know, there's a couple of things that you could replace it with, but this is definitely the weak link in the deck. It doesn't really do much to support the rest of the cards in your deck. So that's the only gripe I have with this deck, but I mean it's only one card, it's fine. As soon as I get another moon, I'll probably switch it for another moon, just to make a slight alteration to the deck, see what that does to my win rate. Who knows, maybe this is a key card and there is a reason it's in the deck, but I mean, even when I was looking over the kind of walkthrough for this deck, it does say that they're a bit surprised that this is in the deck, but never mind. So that's a basic overview of the Stormhaven deck. I'm going to play a game at the ranked level now, just so you can see it in action.